Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll add a wireway for our underground conduit. We'll use um, we'll use another generic enclosure. This time we'll go with the face-based model, and we'll do a 48-inch wireway. Let's go to Systems, Device, Electrical Fixture, and in Properties we'll select the face-based enclosure family. This one's close, an EMA 12 36-inch. So we'll go ahead and we'll edit the type to make it 48 inches. Again, remember that this information is probably no longer any good. And we want to make sure our description matches the family. And we'll place it on the work plane. Notice that it has a habit of selecting the wrong side of the work plane, so we just flip it over using the flip work plane button. In addition, we're at this point going to add a couple of the FD boxes. We'll show how those are used. These are the surface mounted cast metal receptacle outlets. So let's find, we have a variety of ones here. There's just a single hub, there's a pass-through type, and there is sort of a U type with two hubs at the bottom. If you switch to, well, let's place one and we'll show how they're different. So let's select the single gang FD box 3/4 hub. Just place it directly on the wall. We know this wall is not going to move. If you take a look at the properties window, you can change this to the pass-through box, which has a hub on the top and the bottom, or the U box, which has got two hubs on one side. We're going to go ahead and keep the single gang, single hub box. We're going to add a receptacle to it. Now, the reason we're going through this level of detail is that this is a building model, so anything that you want to show up in the equipment schedule needs to be placed in the model. So we're going to place an electrical fixture. This time we're going to use a duplex receptacle. We'll make it a standard type. And I want to verify that we host it to the correct portion of this box. So again, systems, device, put a standard receptacle in there and host it. Put your crosshairs in the face of the FD box to make sure that it's hosted to the box. And you can use the align tool to make it straight. And there we go. We've got a receptacle and an FD box. Just to demonstrate what the other types of receptacles that we have are, go ahead and create a similar box to house another receptacle. We'll do two of those. So let's go ahead and we'll add a GFCI box. You can see that when your detail level is fine, you can see additional detail lines. Makes these items easier to identify in the model. If you just turned this to coarse, you would just get a bunch of blank looking face plates. Let's add just one more. We'll do the single receptacle. That's the simplex receptacle here, just one single receptacle on the yoke. And there you go, you've got 3 different receptacles. And if you notice, if you have your plan view in medium or coarse, you should be able to see the schematic representation. I think it's coarse actually. You should be able to see the schematic representation of each of these. So the GFCI has a duplex symbol with a GFCI in. Note the standard duplex receptacle doesn't have any note along with it. We'll see. In a future video we'll demonstrate how to clean this up using some of the custom settings we have for the annotations. But for now, let's go ahead and we'll switch to this southern wall, and we will just go through placing one of the multi-gang FD boxes. So systems, device, and then over here we have a EE15 FD box, multi-gang. We can do a double gang model. Put here, and then we can actually, once it's set, we can switch it to, let's say we decide we want to upgrade to 3 gang box. We'll add some of the switches we have in the model. There's a speed control dial switch. Most of these are just for aesthetic value. You could use any switch. It's just easier to identify these in the model when you're going through, when you're doing a fly through. So there's the speed control switch. Let's say that's for this exhaust fan over here. And this is exhaust fan. We could do the speed control switch. We could do a disconnect for that fan as well. So we will go ahead and add a manual type disconnect. Here's the E15 generic switch. We'll load that in. And while we're at it, why don't we add one of the lighting switches. So if you select a device, if you go down to lighting, we have a number of low voltage lighting switches. There's generic lighting switches for 120 volt control, and also the Chelsea style Ethernet switches. So we'll select a 6 button model, put that in our box, and if we take a look at that in 3D view, notice the 3D view captures the entire project at this point. So let's orient that to our existing finished floor plan. Now we have a 3D view that's constrained to the same view extent as our floor plan. We'll select the building and then rotate, and we can see that we have a nice view of our equipment. What's happened to it? Okay, it seems to be missing. What's going on here? It's there. Ah, we had it. This is one of the issues with doing face-based families. You have to make sure you're attached to the correct face. So let's go back. We'll reselect this guy, pick a new host to make sure that we have it attached to the front of the box. And then we can align it. There we go. Do the same thing here. Pick a new host. Make sure that you're hosted to the front. You know, pick this front space here on the face of the box. There we go. And if we move our section box down a little bit, we can cut the roof off and we can see a little more clearly. There we go. So there are 3 switches. And then we have our FD boxes with receptacles. We've got our NEMA 12 14 by 14 box and our wireway. So now that we've got all our equipment in, the next step will be to start running conduit.